Hello and welcome back to the Argyle SMB Finance Leadership Forum, SMB Finance Strategies for Growth. My name is Michael with Argyle. A couple of notes before I turn things over to our speakers. First, a quick reminder to stop by our sponsors' virtual booths at any time during today's event and for the following week. Our partners are committed to providing you with valuable content and a great overall experience. At any time during today's event, you can visit their virtual booths from the main agenda page. To ask questions throughout the session, simply type into the Q&A chat and we will address your questions at the end of the session. You can earn 5 points per question submitted with a max of 10 points per session. And now, without further delay, I would like to introduce our speakers. Chris Zingrelli, Vice President, Technology Strategy with Vertex, and Mark Duclos, Senior Director, Global Strategic Partnerships, also with Vertex. We're excited to have Chris and Mark with us for a fireside chat titled SMB Digital Transformation, Prioritizing AI and Technologies for Success. Chris and Mark, thank you so much for being here today. Welcome, and over to you.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate the introductions. And Chris, thanks for joining me on this, this session today. Maybe to get started off, Chris, would you mind taking just a few minutes and explaining what your role is at Vertex and a little bit of what your world consists of within the walls of Vertex and how you look at partners and vendors and customers and what that makes it, how that affects your decision-making day to day?
Sure. Thanks, Mark and Michael. So at Vertex, I lead our technology strategy, which is really looking at the external trends that are happening in the market, both from a vendor landscape perspective, as well as technology trends in general, what new things are coming out, and how could that impact both the tax industry and Vertex in particular, and then plot out proof of concepts and pilots that we go and explore, which then eventually turn into products. So work very closely with other executives at the company on our commercial portfolio side and our back office side to connect all of that.
Thanks, Chris. So obviously there's multiple facets to your world to not only support Vertex as a business, but how what we produce can support our customers, right? And I'm sure that a lot of this is around digital transformation. I know Vertex is going through their own digital transformation, and with your time at Vertex, you've seen Vertex make those changes. What do you think, for those listening, what do you think some of the best practices are for companies that are beginning their digital transformation journey, and what should they consider?
Sure. The best practice that we've found is start with anchoring on a digital strategy. So a digital strategy is really looking at kind of a broader perspective here. What's the journey going to look like over the next 1 to 3 years? What's that North Star that you're trying to achieve so that you can know where your progress is and where you're heading? And then from an execution perspective, make sure you're executing incrementally. There's no reason to wait till the very end and have a big bang of what all the value is. You should be able to get incremental value as you move through the implementation slowly to show progress.
No, thanks, Chris. I mean, that makes perfect sense. So during that, strategy, is there a key part of that strategic plan that companies should focus on?
Yes, it's really important to focus on business use cases. The business use cases are really going to help anchor both the executives and the staff on how to achieve this. An example of a business use case could be deeper customer understanding for behavior or insights in spending. These types of use cases help the business understand how to make decisions better and how to apply technology to help grow their business. And then you can couple that strategy with kind of an implementation program that's kind of rapid, a sprint type approach where you're moving forward with implementation, perhaps in a 2-week cadence, so you can see what's happening, make pivots as necessary, and then release the capability to the organization or to your customers on a quarterly basis. This allows for incremental progress to be shown, but also allows you to change as you understand the business case better.
No, that's great insight there, Chris. So, taking your example use case into consideration, right, the insights gathered into customer behavior and spend, how should companies, those in the audience, how should they think about acting on that insight during their digital journey? What are some tips and tricks or some of the inside scoop maybe that you've experienced?
Sure. When you're looking at insights, there's broad technologies that can be looked at to help support that. And one of the areas that is, hitting the press a lot today, but also has been around for a while is AI and analytics. This is an area that is perfect for digging into insights. AI is a large umbrella of technologies. It's not just one thing, but it handles everything from automation tasks such as RPA, products like UiPath and Blue Prism to help automate repetitive tasks, includes recommendation engines, classification engines, also chat and generative AI. I mean, everyone's heard of Chat GPT by now and all the things that it can do. All of these technologies can come to play to help further understanding and insights, to help understanding how you can take the data that you have, the information that's coming into your company, and point it to specific things that can help you make better decisions. And this includes helping to automate data preparation, correlate data sets from within your company or with external sources, and then help to visualize and trend that information so you can understand it better.
No, thanks, Chris. So, you made a very important comment there, right? Is that AI in analytics is in the news. It seems everywhere. You pick up any tech magazine, it seems like that's on the cover, right? So it's obviously on the map or the plan for a lot of executives as they're looking at their companies and digital transformations. What would you consider maybe the first step for these executives to think about when they start this AI journey or this digital transformation journey that includes AI?
Sure. So AI tends to work best if it's applied to a use case. So focusing in on a well-defined use case and then really understanding the data that supports that use case. So if we go back to the example of deeper customer understanding, getting a deeper understanding on the customer data starts with what customer data do you have to use to help with that journey? And what are the specific business use cases that you want to apply that AI to get to the end for? Once you have that defined, the typical build, buy, partner decisions come into play from an implementation perspective. Now, generally, you're going to want to build AI capabilities that help you differentiate. The higher the differentiation, the more likely you're going to want to build it yourself. More common or less differentiated capabilities, you want to buy and partner. Lots of companies are coming out with AI, whether they be standalone products or integrated into other products. So taking advantage of those can help you in that journey as well. You don't have to do it all organically within your company. But along the way, you need to make sure that you're seeing results. As you're moving through this process, incrementally seeing that this is providing value is important because it will allow you to pivot or perhaps in some cases find alternate solutions if the one that you originally chose didn't work out.
No, yeah, thanks, Chris. You've mentioned that a couple of times already. I just to recapture that is measuring the journey along the way, starting with that business case and making sure along the way of executing on that business case, you are measuring, has there been progress or not, or where do you make changes? So thanks for that. I want to make sure that everybody attending, it's a really important part is that measurement to make those changes. So, as you take a look at that and measurement, right, and using analytics and AI for into a business plan and executing on a transformation journey, one of those departments or one of the areas that are going to be important to this journey is finance, right? Is there anything special about implementing AI or analytics or those type of tools for the finance team themselves? And what should our audience take from that?
Sure. An AI project involving finance is really very similar to an AI project involving any other functional area. It relies on deep knowledge of the data. The great news is finance understands their data really well. They're already preparing their data in a variety of forms to make sure it's clean and accurate. And that goes a long way to making sure that your AI is successful. The work that they're doing, though, to prepare and cleanse that data could be automated by AI tools. So that's an opportunity. But it's also important that finance has a seat at the table on the project team when you're moving forward with an AI project. They don't need to be an AI expert in order to be on that team. What they need to know is the data they're using, and then the processes that they're using to support the acquisition of the data, the transformation, and the use of the data. That understanding of the data is really going to allow you to apply the AI to get to the results that you want.
No, it's once again, Chris, it's a solid point there, right? Is master data, making sure that the enterprise's data, which is going to be used by multiple departments, is clean. And how do you go through refreshing that and making sure you keep that up, because that data is used in various areas. So that's come up in a couple of other sessions, right? Understanding master data and the users of that data and how to maintain that. So,
right.
There's to that point, right? You mentioned that implementing AI for finance is very similar to other areas of the business as well, right? So you have stakeholders in each of these different groups. How do you explain the value of AI to those stakeholders and the investment the company is going to make on implementing these analytics?
Sure. I mean, the investment in AI is really an investment in both automation and decision support. So you can kind of look at this in two different lights. The automation is really helping from a productivity perspective. How can I reduce the effort it takes to do certain tasks like data preparation? Or how can I increase the productivity for data entry, whether it be within a particular function or general data entry? And then decision support is really around risk identification and deeper insights, or pointing leaders to insights more quickly so they can make decisions. So from a decision support perspective, leveraging AI to help identify here or where potential trends are that you should be aware of to help make decisions is really part of this. So explaining both of those helps quantify the value. And then if you add that into other project metrics that are typical, like budget and timeline, you can start to paint a line of sight between the specific capability that you're trying to implement and the end value that you're trying to bring to the customer or the company. And that line of sight is really what the stakeholders are going to want to understand. How is that individual capability providing value through automation, decision intelligence to the end capability to the customer?
Yeah, once again, key points you've brought up again, right? Tying it to the data, having the plan, measuring the plan along the way to show that value, that investment to the stakeholders and line of business and finance and the CXO's office that are helping fund the project of implementing the analytics and AI into a digital transformation program. So key themes that keep coming up as you and I are talking, Chris. So thanks for iterating on that. So let me ask you maybe another question, Chris, if we can, and we've got a few more minutes left and then probably get in time for a question at the end. Are there other technologies that you have considered and done some investigation into that companies, our audience, and those that have joined us for this roundtable, that they should have their eye on as they go through their digital transformation journey? What are some of the technologies maybe that you've considered or should be considered?
Sure. AI is just one technology involved in the digital journey. As you move forward, another big area to keep your eye on is cloud computing. And this includes computing from kind of the large cloud providers, Amazon with AWS, Google with GCP, and Microsoft with Azure are the leading ones, and Oracle with OCI. So all these companies have a full platform as well as lots of services to help make it easier and more quickly to create applications. They are creating low code and no code platforms so that you can move more quickly in here and really bring forward kind of a level playing field for folks to use these services in a way to help your business. So there's a lot of advancements that are happening in that space. The other part of cloud computing is on the SaaS side of things. SaaS applications continue to innovate. They are bringing both broad and very specific functionality for businesses to use. So keeping your eye on how SaaS providers are leveraging these services from the cloud platforms and bringing things to you more quickly would be a great way to enrich your digital strategy and your digital journey. They all relate, kind of to some of the AI stuff that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, they're all intricately tied together and are part of the pieces that make up that journey. And, Chris, you and I have had some few conversations before. That whole low code, no code platforms, it used to be the thing in the news, and now companies are executing on it, right? It is a big part of that transformation plan. So to me, it sounds like that's one of the key points that you've honed in on and people should consider, right? Is they're evaluating the technologies to work with.
Correct. Yeah. Leveraging those types of platforms allow customers to bring functionality to bear much more quickly. And it's less working about kind of the infrastructure mechanics. It's more about bringing what's that value forward that you need to bring forward. And part of that, it changes kind of the user experience as part of this as well. That covers, kind of the breadth here. These SaaS applications are bringing a whole new experience to folks.
Yeah. You know what, Chris, that's a great point. Maybe what does that look like now for the user, right? What is that UI to it? What does it encompass?
Sure. The user experience is now broader than just a UI. It's really an end-to-end experience that both customers and employees are going through as they're using these applications. So that includes targeted user interfaces. Everyone's used to kind of a web interface or a mobile interface, which are great for certain audiences, but interfaces that perhaps target developers, an API interface, or interfaces that target conversational UI, whether that be through voice, through chat. There's a lot of different interface points that are now starting to come about, and folks are exposing their capabilities through all of these interfaces, specifically for the users involved. And that goes end to end, everything from the beginning of the sales cycle and marketing side of things, all the way through using whatever products, all the way back to the employees supporting the customers in this. It's really an end-to-end journey. So when we look at how is that user interface going to change, things like AI, things like SaaS applications and cloud computing are all going to enable new user interfaces, new ways to connect with all of this, and it'll be easier to create interfaces for specific target audiences. So moving forward, there will be audience specific, almost a personalization specific view to some of this, which will help folks along the digital journey. This helps tailor to their experiences and their needs, which helps with the change management and moving forward with the digital journey.
Yeah. No, that's a great point, Chris. I know we're getting close to our time here. I do want to follow up with a question we do have from the audience. It's going to kind of tie back to one of your previous answers around the evolution of SaaS applications, software as a service, right? The question that, let's see here, just, I guess, obviously speaking about your own company, Vertex, right? The global solutions that Vertex offers on cloud computing platforms, what does Vertex offer, and what are some of the platforms that you've considered?
Sure. So Vertex offers a variety of SaaS applications today, both on the calculation engine side of things, as well as on the compliance side, the filing forms with jurisdictions. Both of those are offered in cloud platforms today. We support actually multiple clouds. We have some of our applications exposed kind of on the AWS cloud platform. We have other applications exposed on Oracle's OCI platform. So depending on which platform customers use the most, we can support that. They all have high levels of SLAs to really meet the customer needs. How is this going to perform? How is this going to bring the functionality that customers need to them when they need it and where they need it? And that's all part of these solutions. It's also allowed us to innovate. We're constantly coming out with new products on our SaaS applications, whether they be small features or larger products to help round out the end-to-end experience in really the tax space. How do we support customers handling their tax needs to further ease the burden of conducting commerce globally?
No, thanks, Chris. I appreciate that insight. It looks like we might have one more question and we could jump on, and it probably might be tie back to some of the things you've already said. So from your perspective, you're where you sit, Chris, right? Can you make any recommendations for organizations struggling to start the digital transformation journey? One of the things you brought up that was very key was make sure you have that North Star, that solid plan. But any other things that maybe could help them fast start?
Sure. It's important to find a champion, a sponsor within the company to help move this forward. And that sponsor needs to help educate and evangelize to the company kind of the benefits of this journey. So, finding a focus point where folks can rally around will be really helpful. And that person needs to, explain to everyone, not just up to the board, but throughout the entire company, so that there's kind of a rally cry here. Hey, we need to make some changes here. We need to embrace this journey. And here's the value that it's going to bring to both our customers and ourselves as a company to go down this journey.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that ties back to, the journey is the beginning to the end, and sometimes the end might be the longest last stage, right? Is because of there might be the reluctance for change within employees, or the adoption, right? User acceptance, that type of thing. And obviously you've led several projects throughout your career of this type of transformation at various stages. Does that seem to be the longest part, is the user acceptance or the reluctance by employees to make that change?
It is a challenge. I mean, just like in any company, there are folks that are gung-ho, they want the change, and there's folks that are happy with how things are currently working. So you need to work through that. One of the things that we mentioned before around showing incremental progress is a great way to enlist everyone into that change. How do I make that change smaller and more bite-sized? Well, let's show folks as we go through this. So that's a good step that we've used as we go through this. We show progress so that folks can understand what's happening. The other thing is engage the stakeholders that are going to be impacted with this in the planning and execution. Getting their input early and often throughout this process helps raise those concerns that they may have. And in a lot of cases, the digital journey can address those as it's moving forward. We can highlight, hey, there's a concern about how this is going to work, and we can address that from a technology and a process perspective, ideally making it easier for folks to adopt. So active participation throughout the process, not waiting to the end to see what's happening, are things that we found that ease that change journey. There's also an accountability. Leadership has an accountability to help bring this forward and explain this to everyone. So, when we talk about, what is the North Star, what is the plan for this, explaining that across the entire company helps everyone see that line of sight. Okay, we're on this journey for a reason, and that reason is helping us bring this new value, and we're all part of that journey. So continuing tied to that line of sight, that journey, helps folks connect to the work that's happening. So those are kind of the three things that we've done that has helped us go through some of these projects in the past. And we're, like you said, we're actively working through a digital transformation right now, and we're using these same techniques.
Chris, this has been fantastic, absolutely brilliant insight, and thanks for sharing, what you've done with Vertex and what Vertex is going through with the audience here. So I want to thank you for the time today. It was fantastic. I look forward to more conversations around this. And once again, thanks again from Mark Duclos and Chris Sangrilli at Vertex.
Yes,
enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you, Chris and Mark, for such an insightful fireside chat. We appreciate you both. I also want to thank everyone else for joining us today for this fantastic session. This session, along with all of today's content, will be available on demand following the event. Our next session will begin at 1:15 p.m. Eastern Time, which will be a keynote presentation titled SMBs and Supply Chains, Tackling Disruption to Sustain Revenue Streams. You will automatically be redirected to the next session, and we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.